All right, guys, welcome back to the Big Vision podcast. As you can tell, we're going to have an awesome episode. We have Judge Kim Kervin in the podcast room. So this is going to be awesome. But before we get started, we just want to give a big shout out to First Responder Blinds for allowing us this opportunity. If you need blinds, shutters, roller shades, they're running a big sale for the 4th of July and America's 250th birthday. Give us a call. We'll give you a great price. Before we move on, I'm just going to go over our disclaimer. So the views, opinions, and statements expressed by any guest on this podcast are solely theirs and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Big Vision podcast, its hosts, sponsors, affiliates, or partners. Our goal is to provide a platform for open conversation, public education, and community engagement. Guests are invited to share their experiences, perspective, and positions on issues that impact our community. Judge Kervin, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to kind of get right in this, but today we'd like to help educate the public on the responsibilities of the probate judge office.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing in there? Come on. And the important role that Judge Kervin's office plays in the daily lives of the Autauga County citizens. But Judge, before we get into that, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm the probate judge in Autauga County. I'm married to Chris, and we have been married for 25 years. He works as a chief appraiser over in Russell County.
Wow.
Yeah, so he gets up in the morning at 4 o'clock and gets ready and heads to work. Gets home still about 5:30. They're an hour ahead. So I get to see him a little bit at night during the week, and then on the weekends. He is wonderful. And then we have 6 children together. I have 2 stepchildren, and then we have four children together and 3 grandchildren. And we just love to do all kinds of family things, spend time together, and enjoy life.
Well, listen, sounds like you got an amazing family
Yeah.
there, Judge. Let me ask you this. What led you into public office?
So I practiced law for about 20 years in various aspects. Wow. Yeah. And Judge Alfred Booth was retiring, and so the position for probate judge came open. And I had done a lot of practice in probate work. And I thought, I feel like maybe that this is where I need to go. This is what I need to do. So I prayed about it and decided to put my hat in the arena to run for office, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yes.
Was probably a lot easier then because it's been many years ago that I ran the first time. That was in 2018. And social media was a little bit different then, so a little bit easier to run. Mm-hmm. But I felt led to do it and wanted to help people and felt like that was a good fit. And I have enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, that's amazing. Speaking of enjoying this, what has been the most rewarding part of serving as probate judge?
Well, I love adoptions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about all the things that we do, but adoptions is probably my favorite part of the job. But I know this sounds cliche, but I love people. And so many people come into the probate office. Probably everybody that resides in the county comes into our office for one reason or another. And just being able to help them and interact with people and find out about their lives and what I can do to help them, I think that's probably the best part of it.
Hey, listen, I have seen some of these characters in Autauga County, so I bet it can get interesting sometimes. Okay, so I think this is a great question to ask right here.
Okay.
For someone who has no idea what a probate judge does, would you explain your job?
Sure. I have a lot of judicial roles, but I also have a lot of administrative roles, and I have the best team working in that office.
Yeah.
I get compliments on them, usually on a daily, if weekly, if not daily basis, about how friendly they are and how much they do to help people. And so they make my job a lot easier because they do such a good job. But you come to our office if you want to renew your driver's license, if you want to register a vehicle or renew your car tag, get a boat license, hunting license, if you want to get a tag for your boat. We also have a recording department where we maintain historical documents. We're charged with maintaining all the historical documents in the county, deeds, everything. So we have that. We issue notary public. So if you're going to become a notary public, you go through our office for that process. Recording of deeds, any important documents that you record. Now that you don't have to have a marriage license, you have what's called a marriage affidavit. Those are recorded in our office. And then you move into the probate side, which is more of the judicial functions. And we do adoptions, condemnations, estates, probate of wills, guardianships, conservatorships, annexations, incorporations of small towns. Let me see, what have I not covered? Maybe that's all of it. It's a lot. A lot of people walk in and they're like, I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no, just to hear this, I mean, y'all have a lot of responsibility.
We do. And one of the things that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today is mental commitments. We do a lot of mental commitments as well. So,
you know, I'm going to be honest with you, Judge. You know, that's a lot of responsibility. And, you know, you got to have a solid team.
I have the best. So. And I mean, they're not paying me to say that. I really do have the best. And we're all problem solvers. Like, everybody is trying to stay within the confines of the law, and which is kind of hard when you start getting into tags and license. You think that would be an easy process, but there's a lot of nuances to it and a lot of rules and regulations we have to follow. So we try to help customers out, and I have a great team that they try to resolve and problem solve, help a customer, but stay within those regulations of what they have to do. So it gives a lot of opportunities we have a lot of young people working with us, and it gives them a lot of opportunities to kind of expand their mind and think outside the box.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Judge, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about your office?
Like we said, probably just not knowing all the things that we do there. I'll bring people in. Leadership at Autauga County comes through once a year, and we'll have a lot of community leaders that come in, and we open up the courtroom to explain what we do. And some of them walk in and they're like, I didn't even know there was a courtroom here. And it's a very small courtroom, not a jury box or anything like that, but we have a small courtroom, and they're very impressed with the things that we handle. We're not just bringing in the revenue for the county. There are other things we do to assist Autauga County citizens.
Yeah, well, that's incredible. So, Judge, what services do citizens use most office?
In our office, probably tags is the one thing, renewal of tags, and anything associated with vehicles. We now have our Autauga County Probate app, which everybody, I think, should utilize, because you can go online. You don't have to visit the office.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you can go on the app, renew your vehicle. There is a code, a web code that's on your registration paperwork that you can utilize to open, or you can call us and we can give you that code, and then you can go in and renew it and not have to visit the office. We have a kiosk system that we put in shortly after I got into office, and we can utilize that to see how long customers are typically waiting for license and tag renewals. And, you know, like I said, we have a great efficient team. Yeah. If you're in there more than 20 minutes, you know, it's usually for something that's a difficult transaction. But because of using those numbers, we've been able to look at different ways to kind of minimize that time. And one of those is an app. Another thing is I'm going to go to the county commission and see if we can have some kiosks. Some of the commissioners have expressed an interest in that and putting them out in different areas in the county. So we're going to see if maybe we could start branching out and doing some kiosks in different areas, which would minimize on people that are having to come in from far off areas of the county. Yep. So.
Well, Judge, I'm just going to tell you, I feel like when my license is time for them to, or my tag, I just feel like I pick the day
that it's crowded,
where everybody else in the whole county is coming that way. So I love all those ideas. I think I think it'll help the process a lot. Yeah. So walk us through what happens when someone passes away and their estate enters probate.
Okay. So there's a couple of things. Most people we have a lot of people that come to the office and say, hey, my mother just passed away and she had a will. Do I need to probate it? And we always say, you're going to have to go get an attorney. We can't give legal advice, but you do not always have to probate an estate. A will, if you have a will and you've drafted that and told your family how you want things to pass, you're going to have to come and probate that if you haven't handled certain issues before you pass away. So like if you have a bank account and you've named somebody as a beneficiary, that would pass outside your estate, so you wouldn't have to come and probate it. If you have retirement accounts or other accounts that you've named beneficiaries and you have those listed and you haven't listed your estate as a beneficiary, if you've named other people, those wouldn't have to come and be probated. If you have real property and you've already provided deeds that say that when you pass, like you've had a life estate and it's going to so-and-so, or you share it jointly and it goes to so-and-so after your death, you wouldn't have to open an estate. But if you have those things that you haven't resolved, or there's other property out there that you haven't transferred, you would come to our office, you go see an attorney, and an attorney would file paperwork to say, give this person, if it's a will, the person named in the will, the authority to manage the estate and take care of any debts, take care of any property now that the person's passed away. If there's not a will, it's kind of the same process, but there's some extra steps that have to come into play of what you would do. And if you don't have a will, the law provides a way that your property would be distributed that because you haven't made your wishes known.
Yeah.
So if you came in and you have a lovely wife, I think you said you recently married,
Yes,
like a
she's
year and a
fine.
half.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Come on, praise God.
So if something were to happen to you, and she were to come in and say, my husband didn't leave a will, everybody needs a will, so make sure you have a will. But what's going to happen? The law would allow certain things that she would be entitled to if you didn't have a will. And those are things an attorney can kind of explain out, but it's called intestate, which means you don't have a will. And, the process can be relatively short or it can be relatively long. A lot of it's going to decide on what all's involved in it, what parties are involved in it, and how long it takes to dispose of property or sell property, whatever you need to do. But there's certain steps that the court gets involved in, and there's certain things that the court doesn't get involved in. And if you have a will, you get to decide what things I would get to make a determination about, or the state of Alabama would make a determination about. And that's why it's important that you have a will, because you want your wishes to be followed. You don't want, everybody else to make those determinations.
So let me just ask this question. And, maybe some of the viewers wonder this, but I wonder this also.
Sure.
So what makes a will, like if somebody says, hey, I want to, okay, let me ask, so what steps would a person need to take to make sure their will is legal?
Have an attorney review it, because there's certain things, witnesses that you would have to have. And you want to make sure if you're doing a will that you include every possible thing, all property that you would have, how it would be disposed, and identify what'll happen. Like if you were to leave your fur coat to, your uncle or something, and he were to pass away, well, what do you want to happen to it if he passes away before you do? So you want to make sure all those elements are in place. And most attorneys, especially, local attorneys, they will make a will as simple or as complicated as you desire it to be. They're going to want to put in there whatever you want it. They're going to advise you though how they feel like it needs to read, in the confines of how you want your property to be disposed of at your time of death.
So let me ask this question: what if somebody let's just say somebody they pass away, they did not go to an attorney, but they do have a piece of paper that's titled, I don't know, last will and testament of such and such. How does that hold up in court? Is there any?
As long as they meet the legal requirements and they have the witnesses who have signed off on it, there is a provision that by law it's called what's called a self-proving will, which means the witnesses are attesting to it and they're not having to come into court to say provide information about the testator when they signed off on the will. So you can do that. I would recommend you go see an attorney and have something.
Just make sure it's took care of.
Exactly. And a lot of people will go to an attorney and have that addressed, have a living will addressed, which is where if you go to the hospital, what kind of end-of-life decisions you want made. Like, do you want to have nutrition? Do you want, what kind of life support how long you'd want to be on life support, who you'd want to make those decisions. If you can't speak for yourself, if their decisions differed from what you'd put in your living will, what should the doctor follow? So a lot of times attorneys, when they draft wills, they'll also offer to do living wills or power of attorneys, especially if you have someone elderly, like if you have parents who are aging and they're doing a will, they may go ahead and talk to them about a power of attorney that would come into play if they can no longer make decisions for themselves.
I got it. So let me ask this. Does your office deal with like power of attorney and things like that?
We have a lot of people that will record those. It's not a necessity to be recorded. If they determine, if you just have done a power of attorney and you cross ways with the person you've named, or you want to make a change in that, you can do what's called a revocation of a power of attorney, and those would be recorded with our office. But we don't give documents, we don't give forms or do that. They'd have to go see an attorney to do it. Some people will make the decision to record that. Some people will draft a will and then come and record it in our recording department, just so that it's on record. You know, so that somebody can find it, like filing it in a safe deposit box. But those documents, you know, we don't prepare or give forms or anything like that.
I got it. Say, hey, listen, y'all learning some good stuff. This is going to be a great episode right here. Let me ask this. How is probate court different from other courts people may be familiar with?
So, you know, we don't do criminal matters. There are occasions where those cases kind of get intertwined. We've had a kind of an influx of cases that are called financial exploitation of the elderly, and which is a criminal case. And we get involved in those if there's a petition filed for a victim of those cases. Someone will come in and file a petition for a guardianship and a conservatorship. And a guardianship is where I would make a determination based on medical expert testimony that someone could not make decisions about their medical needs and care, versus a conservatorship saying they can't make rational decisions about their financial needs, or they're subject to being exploited by others. So we're getting kind of intertwined in some of those criminal cases, but we don't handle criminal matters. And outside of those other items that I listed earlier, we don't handle other cases like small claims cases or domestic relations. Sometimes we see some of that stuff intertwined in what we're doing, but those are not issues that we handle.
Awesome.
We do have jury trials on some competency issues, and now will contests that we can have jury trials on. I haven't had one yet, so I'm just kind of waiting to see if that comes to fruition. But as I was telling you earlier, our courtroom is very small. It doesn't have a jury box. And we're just specific to those statutory things that we hear.
Awesome. Here's a great question for you right here. What makes Autauga County a special place to serve?
Oh, I love Autauga County. I know that sounds like a political answer, doesn't it? Like, oh, but, you know, I get to see so many people doing what I do. And I love trying to figure out ways to help them. I love trying to figure out, you know, okay, here's the problem you've presented. And it's a little bit different than when I was practicing law, because I was hired by someone to go in there and advocate for their position and what they wanted. But as judge, I kind of get to hear both sides and figure out, okay, this is the solution to this. And the things that we handle in probate court, you know, I guess like in civil and criminal, the things you would see in the circuit court and district court, there's probably a lot more case law that relates to those and instructs a judge or gives them, like, this is what the way to handle this. This is an instance. This is what you follow. So a lot of the probate laws and, you know, case law is just not as much. So there's a little bit more room for solution finding to figure out, okay, this is how this needs to play out, or this is what we need to do. And it's a good way to feel like you know, you're helping people. I had mentioned earlier on election day, I get to go to all the polling locations. So I start out early that morning, like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I go all the way to Jones and then travel all the way back across to Marbury. So we'll go from one county to the other. And Autauga County is just beautiful. I mean, there is a lot of, there's a lot of country, and there's a lot of small municipality and cities, but it's the people, you know, that make it what it is. And we have some good people in Autauga County. We do.
Yeah, you know, one thing that was very interesting to me is, we just had some special circumstances going on here recently in the previous elections, especially when it came to, the Autauga County Sheriff's race. There was a runoff.
Yes, yes.
And, I thought that your office handled that very well. One thing that I loved was, because somehow, Judge, I just weaseled myself right in the middle of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought it was real neat that your office, when everyone went and voted, they put out all the boxes and the votes, all that came in. So thought you'd done a real good job
Thank
like
you.
that. So
thank you. We
very
have
helpful.
a good IT guy that comes in and helps, and we're still learning. We're still trying to figure out the app. Is a quick way to get that information out with the numbers, trying to send it out through the app. So there was some quirks at the beginning trying to figure out how to get the numbers consistently and show the boxes. And it is hectic on election night. I know people are sitting there watching the screens trying to get the numbers, but if you're in our office,
oh man, I was just glued to that thing.
It is like they're bringing in the returns. There's a lot of stuff that comes in from those locations, and we're getting the tapes. So the way the returns come in is there's 8 printouts of these tapes that come from the machines you vote on. And then there's a memory stick in the machine that you pull out that has what's the tabulation on those tapes. So as fast as the tapes are coming in, we're having to plug in the sticks to pull up the numbers, and then the tapes also to have the numbers and post them. So it's a kind of dicey situation because you have so much going on at one time, and then to throw in the mix that we're trying to get the numbers out to everybody. But we just decided, let's get an IT person, and he sits and grabs that tape and he sends the numbers, and that's not something we're really focused on while we're tabulating. That's
a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's good for the residents to see, especially the local races. Because that's what everybody's waiting to hear about.
I was glued to that thing. I could not wait for it to get in. So so let's get into the meat of this conversation.
Sure.
I know it's something very dear to your heart, and I know something that you're passionate about. So let's just have a discussion about something that really affects so many people. We're going to be talking about mental health, and just why do you think so many people today struggle with mental health issues, whether it's depression, anxiety, more severe ones?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that the impact of it, I think there's a lot of things that come into play. I could probably sit and list all the things that the viewers probably know: social media, TV, just getting fixated on listening to, the bad part of the news all the time. But I think the reason that we're not seeing much of an improvement is the stigma that's attached to it. Is that, if your best friend or your neighbor has the flu, you're packing up a gift package of like crackers and soup and all the good stuff and goodies, and you're taking them to their house. Like, I hope you feel better, and we're praying for you, and I really, let us know if you need anything. But, if you hear your neighbor has a mental illness, it's almost hands off. Like, you don't want to address it. You don't want to talk to them about it. You don't want to bring it up. You don't want them to bring it up to you. And then you're looking out your blinds, kind of wondering, what's happening to your neighbor. So I think we've got to focus on trying to reduce that stigma so that people that need help will go and seek help and follow through with it and stay true on their therapy. And just realize that it's, it's something just like cancer. It's like the flu. There's treatment available, and there's no shame in seeking out that treatment.
That's it. So have you seen situations through your office where mental health challenges have had a significant impact on families?
Oh, definitely. I think every time. That's probably one of the hardest parts of hearings, is looking out. And the process for us is, if someone believes that someone has a mental illness and that they're in danger and that they need help, they can come and file a petition for a mental commitment for that person. Now, before we start any kind of process of that, I kind of review the petition, see what the allegations are. They're swearing to it under oath that that's what's really happening with that person. And we look through our system to see if they've ever been involved with us before, if we have any history.
Mm-hmm.
We send it through our mental health provider, which our area mental health provider is called CareStar. So we have a good working relationship with our therapist there. So we send her the information and she sees if they've ever been through their system before. Because if you can see where I'm going with this, there's always an opportunity that someone could come file a mental commitment petition and say you need help, and that not really be the case. So we get it through all those checks and balances and see what's going on, and appoint attorneys. We appoint an attorney for the petitioner. We appoint what's called a guardian ad litem for the respondent, like an attorney for the respondent. And then we set this hearing. So when you're looking out and you're having this hearing, most of the time the petitioners are related to the person that they're asking to be committed or they're asking to order help for. And probably 9 times out of 10, it's a parent. So like a mom or a dad. And they're coming into court and they're saying, hey, my child is ill and I need you to enter an order forcing them to go to a hospital and get help. And it's, I put myself in their position, in their shoes, and I put one of my kids, I kind of imagine them being on the other side. And that's hard. That's hard.
Be tough.
It is. That is hard to envision for that family. And in the same breath, just the strength it's taking for them to do that for their child, for them to take that step and file that petition and ask for help and ask that their child be forced to go and get help. That's a lot. So I think that's probably seeing that impact on the family, but knowing that if the person does go and get help and they follow up and they keep going, their life is going to change from what they're dealing with. Their life is going to change from getting that help, and their family's life is going to change. And knowing that that's a possibility, that could happen, that's the good side of it. But the impact on families is, and seeing what some families go through dealing with their family members having a mental illness and seeing that and knowing how long they deal with it just because they don't know. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited about this is a lot of people don't know that you can go and seek out help. They feel like it's maybe a drug or alcohol situation and there's no help available unless they voluntarily go. No, you can go to in any county. If you're here, Judge Love here in Montgomery County, great probate judge, you can go to any county and seek out help for someone who has a mental illness.
That's awesome. Let me, kind of on them same lines right there. What would you say to someone who is struggling but feels embarrassed to ask for help?
I would just encourage it. I think from the difference that I've seen in people that have gone and gotten the help, and just try to whittle away at the reason of why, they're not wanting help. When I have those hearings, a lot of times the guardian ad litem, who is like I said, like an attorney for the respondent, they will say that they'll say they don't want their client to testify, that they feel like it would impair the court's ability to make that determination, or it's not going to be fruitful to the respondent if they do that. And we will have the hearing, we'll make a decision based on the evidence in front of me at that time and the mental health expert testimony that we usually have from our mental health therapist. And then after everything's cut off and we know what's going to happen, like I'll have the record cut off and we know that they're fixing to go to the hospital, a lot of times the respondent will want to talk about where they are in their treatment or why they haven't sought out treatment. And again, it just comes into the stigma. Or the medication, they take it for a while, then it starts to have these bad side effects and they don't like it and they don't realize that they can go back and get that medication changed. But one problem that we're having with mental health is just the ability to provide that care. Sometimes you may have to wait 3 or 4 months before you get in to see a provider or get medication prescribed. Many times I'm waiting on a bed to send a person to a facility and there's no bed space available. So now we have, a few years ago, the state implemented what's called crisis diversion centers. And I think there's 3 of them across the state. And we have a crisis diversion center here in Montgomery, and that's open to people of all ages, even juveniles. But it is a voluntary process. So you have to voluntarily go in there and be assessed and treated. And it's not a long-term facility. And even when I say long-term, I'm talking like a week or so. It's much shorter period than that, but they will let you come in there and get you assessed and get you medication and prescriptions, and get you on outpatient treatment. So there are opportunities when we have court that if someone comes in versus me entering an order sending them to a facility against their will, that we talk to them and they will voluntarily agree to go to diversion. And I give them the opportunity of, okay, you can voluntarily go, but if you get there and you leave before your treatment is completed, we're going to come back and then we'll go do an involuntary route. But even with that, again, I think that someone that's not wanting to get help and trying to encourage them, I give them an opportunity of, if you voluntarily go do these things, then I'm not going to force you to do it. So I feel like maybe some of that, if we're giving them more opportunities, that'll convince them that it's going to be beneficial too.
Yep. Absolutely. So what are some resources that are available locally for people who need support? So
probably like I was talking about the Crisis Diversion Center. Also in Autauga County, through our sheriff's office, we have Rico Hartnett, who is our mental health liaison. And he works very closely with families in our area. And that's been a great resource to have him to go out and talk to families and assist and kind of get respondents where they would agree to seek out treatment without court involvement. So that's been beneficial to us to do that. Earlier this year, we had a symposium where we invited all different agencies, and we probably had more than 80 people that came. We had it at Center Point Church from different agencies, law enforcement, jail, wardens, all different areas, and they came in, and it was just kind of a let's get together and figure out what works in your county, and we're going to copy it, and y'all copy what works in our county. So there are some movements and people trying to improve mental health and open up more resources. I think for so long we've just all thrown our hands up in there and said, it's mental health. It's never going to work. And we're, in our county at least, we're trying to chisel away. And if we can take some tiny steps for us rather than just throwing our hands up and saying it's mental health, that's not going to work, that's what our goal is to try to make those conveniences and things in our county.
Yes. So how can families, churches, community organizations, how can they do a better job at supporting those who are struggling?
I think just getting more information about it and trying to learn more about mental illness and help reduce the stigma for it. And I think churches are a great opportunity to open the door and help families that have family members that are dealing with mental illness, and see if there's things that they can offer in assistance. But I think just knowledge and information and us sharing, like today, sharing information about it is probably the best way, and being open to conversations about it.
Absolutely. So is there anything about the probate judge's office that the public should know that you haven't already discussed?
I think I've just about covered everything. That we have to comply with those regulations. If you come in and you have not had insurance on your vehicle, that's probably the biggest complaint in our office, is that MLI fee for not having mandatory insurance on your vehicle, and trying to convince us to let you out of it. There's no way to do that. That's statutory and that's law. But I think just covering all those areas, the different things that we handle in our court, and that we're there to help. A lot of people walk in with a frown on their face, like, oh, I'm going to have to sit here for a while. But I love the fact that they're usually not there that long. And most people walk in and out pretty quickly. Yep. And that truly is our goal, is to make it as easy a process as possible.
Awesome. Well, here's your final question.
Okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave with the citizens of Autauga County? Like any type of comment, anything you'd like to say to them?
I know it sounds like a political answer, but I really do. I love what I do. I love it. I love the people that I come in contact with. I love learning about them. And, our door is always open for questions and for helping people. But I I can't say enough about the probate office team.
Yes.
They did not pay me to say that.
Yeah.
But I do have a great team, and we have a great county.
Mm-hmm. Yes, solid
good
county.
Restaurants, good downtown.
Yes.
Yeah, great little communities. You've got there's communities stretching out across the county, but the county is made up of its people, and we have the best.
Yes. Well, Judge, I just want to tell you, thanks for coming on the Big Vision
Yeah, thanks
podcast.
for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, she's done a great job, guys.
Thank you.
I want to just close the podcast with this verse, and it's Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. And these verses mean a lot to me because, life can be tough. You can go through a whole lot of issues. And, mental illness is something that a lot of people deal with. Mm-hmm. And, I just think it's important that we just let the Word of God speak to it. This is Philippians 4, 6, and 7. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. And I just want to encourage whoever's watching this, if you're anxious, if you're worrying, I think one of the best steps you could do is just pray. Pray about what you're going through. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all that He's done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. And I just want to encourage anybody who may be struggling with mental illness, reach out to a pastor, reach out to a therapist, get your help. You don't have to be embarrassed, okay? There are tons of people who will come around you and support you. Father, I thank you for this incredible episode that we have. Lord, I just speak a word of peace, Lord, to every citizen of Autauga County that may be struggling with mental health. God, I just pray, Lord, that your peace would reign supreme in their life. In Jesus' name we pray. Listen, guys,
Amen.
We've got some exciting things that are coming. Stay tuned. And remember this, take Jesus everywhere you go.